R2, your favorite PS5 Pro channel, is back. We're back to talk about the PS5 Pro again, but we're also talking about Rebirth. Because we have a little bit of something kind of making the rounds today that's got the community talking. Today we had somebody from Digital Foundry, John Linneman, put out a statement about Rebirth on the PS5 Pro that was kind of making waves. So they dropped this tweet several hours ago that says, wow, yeah, FF7R looks a lot better on PS5 Pro. Night and day difference. I actually put off playing it due to other things happening at the time of release, but the Pro will finally push me to enjoy it. Image quality was just too awful on normal PS5. So first off, before we hop into it, I'm not going to claim to know anything more than somebody from Digital Foundry in terms of like the technological side of things. It's all just my thoughts and opinions, right? But I find it kind of weird that people are suddenly talking about how like bad Rebirth looked. Like, I mean, obviously we talked about like lighting issues and stuff like that. That was a big thing around like the early days of Rebirth. But I saw like screenshots and things going around of like low resolution and kind of blurry graphics, things like that, of course. But like for somebody to claim that like the visuals in Rebirth were so bad that they couldn't play it is so fucking far-reaching to me. It's not just this guy. I've seen other people talk about this on social media because there's a lot of like back and forth today. People talking about like how good or bad the fucking visuals and performance of Rebirth was on the base PS5 and things like that, right? I've seen other people. I can pull up a screenshot. I'm not going to put the person on blast. Of them claiming that like the visuals were so awful for Rebirth that they just quit their playthrough. Like it was just that bad. They could not continue playing because how bad Rebirth looked. It's fucking stupid. Also, the claim of like Rebirth on the Pro versus the base PS5 is a night and day difference. I don't know if that's a poor choice of words or if he's trying to be very literal, because night and day is like the exact opposite. That's like saying like it's shitty PS5 base down here is Rebirth and fucking Pro's way up here. Like they're complete opposites. PS1 graphics, PS5 graphics. Like that's the kind of like claim that you're making there, right? But again, to me, is far-reaching because even if you're playing like performance mode for Rebirth, which you know some people have said like it kind of tanks like the resolution and stuff like that, it was never like a bad-looking game. And like I guess with like the PS5 Pro, you're supposed to be able to get like both, like quality mode and performance mode, right? You're getting 4K graphics, 60 frames, and I believe because of like the PSSR, I think is what it's called, you get like technically like better visuals than the actual quality mode. So you're getting like even better than like 4K graphics with 60 frames. Like nobody's arguing about whether or not it's like the optimal version to play the game, because clearly it is. It's the PS5 Pro. But people are acting like it's this gigantic leap in technology. Like we're talking like PS1 to fucking PS3 or something, right? Where it's like it's not. Like, it probably does look better in person, which is the problem here is a lot of it you can't really tell through like social media. There's screenshots and videos uploaded to social media and or YouTube. Obviously, stuff like that can like affect the quality of like an image or a video, right? And I totally understand that. But if it's such a small change that I can't like get like side by side images and notice the difference, if I can't just like look at this image and like clearly know that that's PS5 and look at this image and clearly know that's PS5 Pro, then it's like such a for me it's such an arbitrary change. This is my new kitten, by the way. Her name is Nugget. She's kind of dirty because she was a stray cat, and she gets food on her nose all the time, but she is a sweetheart. He then followed this up with, today I learned there's not an insignificant number of people who don't understand image quality. That is, the clarity of edges, quality of anti-aliasing, resolution, etc. It's a thing that tech like DLSS is designed to tackle. It's separate from the rest of the visuals, art, etc. Again, these are just my thoughts and opinions, but he sounds like he's up his own ass a little bit. Like, he doesn't think people know what anti-aliasing is, or what resolution is, of all things. I don't know if it's just because like a tech dude who works for Digital Foundry just gets this like, you know, this vibe of like these regular people cannot possibly see what I see. The main claim from him and a lot of people out there is that when you put Rebirth into performance mode, it was like awful. Like to quote him specifically in a reply to this specific tweet we're looking at here, he said that it was horrid. I'm not sure about you guys, but when it came to like both demos that dropped for Rebirth and also the full game itself, I played them in performance mode, as I do every game that has the option to do quality or performance, right? I always play in performance. I want better frame rate. That for me is more important, especially for a fast-paced game like Rebirth. And maybe that's the difference here. These are people that want like the best quality picture ever. They just can't fucking play it, right? Rebirth is completely unplayable. It is horrid in performance mode, right? Maybe that's kind of the disconnect here. We're talking about people that want just like, I guess, the highest quality graphics and shit like that, the best like 120,000 frames, and that's the only way they can enjoy games versus like, you know, me, like the average consumer who I just want like a performance mode. The game is beautiful enough. That is perfectly fine. There's also people that are already going to buy the PS5 Pro, right? It's also people that are going to buy the PS5 Pro, their definitive PS5 Pro. They're now talking about how bad Rebirth was. It's also another weird connection here is a lot of people that I've seen within the FF7 community who've been screaming all year long, you know, all 6 months now, that Rebirth is 100% game of the year. It has to be. No other game even comes close. Are now also the ones that are talking about how dog shit Rebirth was on the PS5, but the PS5 Pro fixes it, I guess. It's weird. I don't know, man. The way I've seen people talk about Rebirth today, you know, the last like 12 hours or whatever, it's like, how could it possibly be game of the year, right? If it's as bad as everybody's saying it is. It's look, nobody's arguing that there wasn't like some like dip in quality when you go into performance mode, but like to act like it's unplayable is so crazy to me. Like if it's like a little bit blurry or the resolution's kind of fuzzy or whatever, and you're just like, I cannot possibly play this anymore. It has ruined my experience. It is so beneath me. It's like so fucking ridiculous. I don't know if it's like my upbringing or whatever, or just the generation I grew up in, grew up in the 90s, playing Nintendo PS1, but like graphics have never been a selling point. Like the Final Fantasy series loves to push graphics, and I'm not going to hate on good graphics or whatever, but it's never what like makes me like a game. I'm never like, wow, this game is really good because that CGI cutscene was optimal. It was exactly the resolution that I like. It was definitely the anti-aliasing that sold the game to me. The clarity of the edges, the DLSS. My God, these terms that I'm just throwing around. I know what I'm talking about. When you kind of look around on the internet, obviously the opinions are kind of everywhere with this topic. But it seems like a lot of people are in the agreement that, like, it's not this, like, leap. It's a technological leap, of course, but it's not like this graphical leap, like generational type shit, like PS1 to PS2, right? That type of shit. Which is how people seem to be talking about it, which is kind of weird to me. I think most people are very content. It's a negligible difference between like the PS5 and the PS5 Pro, to the point that the average person out there is not going to give a shit. And maybe that's not the point, right? The PS5 Pro is probably not for the average consumer. It's for somebody that just wants the best of everything, right? That kind of thing. It's perfectly fine. I'm not the consumer for this product, but I can also have my opinions and thoughts on it, which is something we've seen the last few days where, like, people are going to bat really fucking hard for the PS5 Pro, and it's obviously the people that are going to buy the damn thing, so of course they're going to go to bat for it, but, like, we can also have our opinions on it, man. I think it's an overpriced item. It's not a big of enough leap that I even want to buy it, but also the fact that I have to obviously buy a hard drive and a fucking vertical stand. We didn't talk about that in our last video, but the fucking vertical stand to stand the fucking PS5 Pro up is sold separately. I don't know how much it costs. It doesn't even matter. I don't give a shit if it's $5. It's fucking stupid. How's this a like high-end item that it doesn't even come with like the basic shit? Ultimately, this conversation is pointless because it doesn't really matter. I mean, we're not getting anywhere with this conversation. People that already think it's bad, and think it looks better on the PS5 Pro, which it again does. People that already want to buy the PS5 Pro are not going to change their minds. People that don't want to buy it aren't going to change their minds. So there's like nothing to really be had from this conversation. I wasn't even planning on making a video about it, but the tweet that the guy put out earlier was making a lot of fucking waves. People were quote tweeting it, giving their opinions, myself included. And then when I hopped on to do a video today, there's several articles written about the guy's tweets. So I felt like it was worth talking about. Speaking of which, there's actually a pretty good GamerRanks article written about this. It's pretty short and to the point that more or less talks about how fucking pointless this is and how it doesn't really matter because in the market, Nintendo's dominating with the Switch since it's been out for 7 years now. That is more about games versus graphics, right? And that's what really matters. That's what's really night and day. Kind of poking fun at his tweet, which I appreciate. That's off to you guys, of course. What are your thoughts? Was FF7 Rebirth the ugliest game of the year? Was the graphics and the resolution so bad in performance mode that you just could not possibly play it? Did you get your refund? That's the video. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. Social networks in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, @CFYT. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more, and nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like Low Gain or leave it like Cobain.